But on Raw, I thought it was actually not a terrible show. Definitely one of the better installments of Raw in recent memory, if only for the two title matches that created some Survivor Series suspense to see who would go on to face SmackDown's The Street Profits and Roman Reigns, respectively, at the pay-per-view. Again, I thought overall it was a decent show. We might as well talk about the biggest stuff first, that being the WWE Championship changing hands on the flagship show for the first time in 5 years, since December 15th, I think was the exact day, or maybe December 14th. It was one of the two. December 13th, 14th of 2015, when Roman Reigns beat Sheamus for the WWE title on Raw. I remember watching that show with you, RJ, 5 years ago.
Jesus, it's been that long? Oof.
I guess. I mean, when I saw that stat, I'm like, holy shit, it's been 5 years. That's crazy. Because I remember that, and I was like, wow, that was a great moment, great match, great Raw. That was one of the final Raws I think we watched together before we went on break that year or whatever. But yeah, we've had obviously Universal Championship changes on Raw since then. The WWE titles changed hands on SmackDown a bunch in recent years. AJ won it from Jinder. Bryan won it from AJ. Kofi won it from... Brock won it from Kofi last year. But the first one on Raw in 5 years. It was a great match. Drew McIntyre regaining the WWE Championship from Randy Orton, becoming a two-time champion in the process. Was it a mistake, is the popular question right now, RJ. Was it a mistake to take the title off of Drew to begin with at Hell in a Cell?
Yes, I think it was a mistake taking off at Hell in a Cell because it should have been taken off him at SummerSlam. I just think Orton had the most momentum I've seen from a heel in a long time, and they just lost twice to Drew lost at SummerSlam and lost at Night of Champions, or Clash of Champions, whatever the fuck it's called. And then he won at Hell in a Cell. It's just like, okay. Then he has like a 3-week reign of just like, and then he lost the belt again. It was just kind of like, if we're going to put the belt on him, at least give him like, I would have had him win at SummerSlam, hold it at Night of Champions, then lose it at Hell in a Cell if you're going to put the belt back on Drew. I don't know, I just think the reign was kind of like, you missed it in 2 seconds and just was like a waste of time.
Yeah, I'm not even saying that, they should have kept the belt on Drew the entire time. I think that would have been better than what they did. Obviously, they did it to give Orton an extra title reign. I get that, but I completely agree. It's not the fact that he won it, although I was never really in favor of him winning the championship to begin with. But if you were going to have him win it, it should have been 3 months ago at SummerSlam, as you said, when he was at his hottest. When you beat someone enough and they finally win the belt, and especially if they're a heel, it just doesn't mean as much. Maybe if it's a babyface and it's like the chase, I kind of get that, and I know Randy's like credible and whatnot, but it just kind of fell flat for me at the pay-per-view. I'm glad the belt is back on Drew, though. I think it's a much better option. He now has Strowman, AJ, Sheamus, and The Fiend to feud with, among others, from the Raw roster. Probably Sheamus, because that seems to be the story they're setting up. I've actually really been liking the segments with Sheamus and McIntyre recently on Raw, because it seems to be setting up a match between the two, probably the Royal Rumble pay-per-view.
Yeah, I like the segment they had on Raw. Kind of, like you said, they're kind of foreshadowing that feud, and I think that's their next direction. I mean, they could do it at TLC as well. They could start it there. I don't know. It shouldn't be the first match. It should be a TLC match. So maybe they'll do the Randy Orton rematch there at TLC. Kind of just close the chapter on that book, and then, like you said, you could do Drew and Sheamus heading into the new year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. I'm thinking TLC. With as many people that they have in the WWE Championship picture right now, I'm thinking it's going to be McIntyre, Orton, which I don't want to see continue, but it's probably likely. McIntyre, Orton, The Fiend, and probably The Miz. I would have The Miz cash in, formally at TLC. He probably won't, if not just the triple threat. And then maybe McIntyre wins there and goes on to WrestleMania as champion. And maybe you could do McIntyre and Sheamus at the Rumble to give that match some more time. I guess you could also do it at WrestleMania. It is a WrestleMania-worthy match. I don't know if it's the WWE title match they do. That's what I'm kind of skeptical about. I guess we'll see. But I've really been digging the WWE title picture recently. For as played out as Orton and McIntyre is, they've done a very good job of incorporating some new faces into the picture. That being Sheamus, The Fiend, and The Miz. All recent additions from the SmackDown roster in recent weeks, which has been really well done. And again, the match was very good to boot.